Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Finding Nemo, the 2003 Pixar film. It's an hour and 43 minutes, and this one's kind of special to me because it is, there's certain films you have in your life there's certain touchstones, moments that you remember. You remember where you saw them, when you saw them, who you saw them with. I remember some of that. I remember going to see this movie off the coast of Florida. Well, not off the coast, right on the coast of Florida, at a theater, uh, and it was one of the few theaters in the world to, at least outside of Hollywood and LA and stuff. Um, it was the only one in this area that I was in at the time that had digital projection, and it made an incredible difference in color, in just the movement of the characters, everything. This is the first digitally projected movie I ever saw, and it made sense that it was also a digitally animated film, which made it all the more clear. It changed how I saw movies. And yes, there's a certain warmth and a certain uh, attitude, not attitude, but a certain feeling um, that you get when you see a movie projected on film. Quentin Tarantino makes sure that at his New Beverly Theater that all the films he shows are on film. Well, that's awesome. That's great, especially the films that were made with film projectors or film cameras back in the day. Perfect. That's the way it should be. But this is a digital film. This is a digitally animated film, and I think probably the best format for being uh, projected should be digitally. To me, it just makes sense. I don't imagine that Tarantino would bother watching Finding Nemo. I have no idea, but in this case, it was the perfect format, and it changed how I saw anything. And the next movie I saw, I mean, I'm sure I saw a few other movies that were digitally projected later. Yeah, I mean, the one that I can think of next that was major, I was in LA at the time. I saw Revenge of the Sith in 2005. So it was a pretty long while before things started to become standard for digital projection. Now it's everywhere. Now it's You can't go to a theater except for Tarantino's, where there isn't a digital projector in every screen. So anyway, that's just to say that Finding Nemo means a lot to me, and I enjoy it. It's got a great cast, a great voice cast. It's got a wonderful story about fatherhood and letting go and loss and caring for and knowing when to let go uh, when it comes to your children, letting them explore, letting them discover things on their own, and let them take risks that allow them to grow. Um, this is all. There's a lot wrapped up into it, and it's also dealing with people with short-term memories, with a disability, and that's Ellen DeGeneres' character Dory, as Marlin goes searching for Nemo, who's been taken by a diver and set up in a dentist office in a fish tank with a bunch of other eclectic fish that he's been collecting. Uh, Marlin, who doesn't venture outside the reef, terrified to, decides to take a humongous risk for his only child, Nemo. And Nemo was born with a little small fin, and he doesn't think he can swim well. He overprotects him to an incredible degree, fears for every single moment, tries to map out every single moment of his life, mainly because of what happened early in the film. Which, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it's a pretty hardcore tragedy for a kids' film right off the bat. It's not graphic in any way, obviously, but it has resonance that it makes you go, they actually did that. And normally, okay, he doesn't have a mom, okay, and there's a reason why. Normally, when you're looking at a Disney film, one of the parents is already gone, dead, whatever. So, in this case, we get to see why right off the bat, and we get to know her for a minute or two before she's just gone, along with all of his siblings, which makes it even more tragic. but yeah, it's a sad, sweet, joyous, hilarious, wild, adventurous film that honestly everybody should see. I know that's very general in my and it's overly exciting description. But yeah, no, it's this movie has a, so many different characters. It's a road movie. It's a buddy movie. It has so many different elements to it. By the way, directed by Andrew Stanton and come on, bring it up, Andrew Stanton. You're not going to give it to me, are you? And Lee Unkrich. Yeah, Lee Unkrich. I knew it was somebody I knew. Lee Unkrich and Andrew Stanton co-directed this, and yeah, it's and from a story by Andrew Stanton, and yeah, why does he get a double credit? That's weird. And Bob Peterson. But no, so you're already getting some Disney. You want to say veterans at this point, but they're still kind of new at this point. It's 2003. Pixar hasn't been around, at least as a major studio, for very long. Just a little under 10 years at this point. And but these guys are making a name for themselves, creating some of the biggest features ever for Disney Pixar, and of course, it led to a sequel with Finding Dory and working on her origin story and finding where she came from. Again, these stories are all about family and family. Fast and Furious, but one of the highlights of this is obviously its cast. Albert Brooks plays Marlin, Nemo's dad. Nemo is played by Alexander Gould, and of course Ellen DeGeneres is Dory. They're the main characters that we're following in this. But so many voices come through this. William Dafoe has a small part, fairly small. It's an important part, but it's a fairly small part. When you have a major film and William Dafoe is playing a supporting role, that's kind of strange. It's kind of weird because you'd expect him to have a bigger role. We got what, Brad Garrett, Allison Janney, who's a longtime Disney voice. Stephen Root, of course. Vicki Lewis, Joe Ranft. And Jeffrey Rush has a small part as Nigel, the pelican. He's a pelican. He was also a Pirates of the Caribbean villain, Barbossa, but he's also a pelican in the Disney world, the world of Disney. It's just Eric Bana has a small part as a shark. I think it's a shark. I think his name's Anchor. I'm pretty sure he's one of the sharks. But yeah, it's there's so many. He played the Hulk. But yeah, there's so many different voices in here. I'm sure I'm not even covering half of them. Of course, John Ratzenberger has to show up. He plays more characters in this film than anybody else, all at the same time. He plays a school of fish. So, yeah. So listen for that. You'll see it. John Ratzenberger has to show up in pretty much every Pixar film. I think he's only missed one so far. But yeah. For me to describe this, if you don't already know what Finding Nemo is, I mean, it's a wasted breath. I think if this is something that you just don't imagine yourself ever watching, I don't know what kind of person you are, but maybe you just hate animation, and why would you have Disney Plus or care what I have to say about it? So, yeah, if you're holding off watching Finding Nemo for any reason, don't wait any longer. Unless you're just waiting for the kids to grow up to a certain age where you can all appreciate it together, and it can be a little scary at times, not like horror scary, not blood and guts or anything, but there's little tense moments where you're fearful for Nemo's life and Marlin and Dory's, but it all comes together. Obviously, it's a Disney film, it's a Pixar film, it's a happy ending, is the way it's going to be. So it's no fear in this story. It works out beautifully. I'm not spoiling anything by saying that, but they definitely get put through their paces, and they get to meet all sorts of different fish under the sea. And there is, I mean, if you've ever seen any kind of documentaries, we've seen plenty of them here on Disney Plus that talk about fish and life under the sea, and you get to see their ticks, their characteristics played out in animated form, exaggerated, but it's beautifully done, perfectly done. People who know fish probably would know better than I would whether they got it right or not. But it there's certain little elements that okay, that these feel like real fish. They just happen to talk and have human-like eyes. So, it's again, it's another one of these movies. It's Pixar, and it's highly acclaimed, and it's beloved by fans, by anybody who's seen it. I can't think of anybody who ever would go into this film and just go, "Yeah, that was crap." No, it just, what kind of person are you? I'm judging. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Finding Nemo. Yeah, I can't get much better than this. So, yeah. And by the way, we already watched Finding Dory a couple months ago. And if you want to see what I thought about that one, search it out and you'll find it. But let's pick tomorrow's episode.
49.
49. Going low. We had 94 just yesterday? Or, I don't know. They all run together. Now we have 49. Huh, well, this is easy. We get another short after going like almost a month without any shorts. Even though we added a ton with this quarter, we're getting another one. So this will be nice and quick. Beezy Bear. All right. I don't know what that is. I think it might be one of the older ones. I can't think of it, how that Beezy Bear would apply to any other modern day Disney animation or Pixar movie. So I could be wrong, but Beezy Bear is what we're watching on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.